So you want to get into ultralight backpacking or lighten your backpacking gear load out, but you don't know where to start. You don't know what gear to upgrade first. We're going to talk some budget-friendly, lightweight gear options to get you going towards ultralight, get those pounds off your back, make you more comfortable out on trail. The first one is probably the easiest one to do because you've got most of the stuff at home already, and that's just building your own first aid kit instead of using one of the store-bought ones. For years, my first aid kit just went in a Ziploc freezer bag, one of the medium-sized ones, and that worked fine. It kept all my stuff sealed and dry. I have since upgraded to the printed roll top bags from Hilltop Packs, but you don't have to go that route. One of the advantages of building your own first aid kit is you know exactly what is inside of here. The big problem you run into with a lot of the store-bought first aid kits is there's just a ton of stuff in there that you're never gonna use, and a lot of times you don't know how to use. Filling up your own first aid kit, you're gonna know exactly what's in there, and hopefully you're gonna know how to use all the stuff that's in there, and it's gonna save you weight because you're not carrying like 50 of one thing that's not something you're necessarily going to use out on trail. This is one of those things where you got to make the call and just decide, what's the best to carry for yourself. A lot of us have different risk tolerances and we carry different things in our first aid kit. Some people more, some people less. There's nothing wrong with either way. A lot of it is just risk tolerance, but it is going to save you a bunch of weight out of your backpack going through and building your own first aid kit as opposed to one of the expensive store-bought ones. I'm sure most of us start out with, something like this. This is a 1.2 liter pot. This is a Toaks titanium, but most of us kind of start out roughly around like the 1 to 1.5 liter pot range. It just kind of seems to be what we have in our heads when we start backpacking and hiking. That's the size of pot we need. And for most of us, when it comes to going ultralight, just the big pot like this is just way too much. It's more than what we need. But making the choice and deciding on, how small of a pot we need, that can be a little bit intimidating, especially when you're looking to drop in 40 or 50 bucks on a lightweight titanium pot. Now, the more charred one here on the side, this is the exact pot that I started out ultralight with. 650 mil was great for me, but I found after a couple years I could go with a smaller pot, and I had the funds to do so, so I upgraded to the 550 mil Toaks pot. But I had no regrets at all going with these Luxottica pots. I mean, you look at it next to the Toaks, they are pretty much identical. Like, I always call these Luxottica pots the Toaks clones. They've got the exact same style lid, the same style handles. It wouldn't shock me if these were like, molded and made in the same place. The Luxottica pots are quite a bit cheaper than the Toaks pots. They are a slight bit heavier. So, if you're looking to go in the most ultralight route, the best route for you is the Toaks Light. But if you're going to get an ultralight, save yourself a couple bucks. These Luxottica pots, you can get them on Amazon. I'll have some links in the description box down below. And a cool advantage going with a pot like this, like I called them the Toaks clones. Super popular piece of gear in the backpacking world now is the Pika lid, designed by the folks at Pika Outdoors and my good friend Justin Outdoors. The Pika lid is designed to snap onto a Toaks pot, and it snaps perfectly onto these Luxottica pots as well. If you're looking to go in a little bit more lightweight, save yourself a couple bucks, look at a, not so popular branded name pot instead of going with the Toaks or the MSR or the Snow Peak. Save yourself a couple bucks. For backcountry cooking, going with a lighter weight cook pot is not the only way to save some money and go with a lighter weight setup. You can get some pretty nice quality, lightweight, very inexpensive ultralight burners. This one here has got its own piezo igniter, so you click the little red button, it sparks on its own. Packs down pretty small. Pretty comparable to the MSR Pocket Rocket in terms of burn time. The big advantage of this is it is significantly cheaper than the MSR Pocket Rocket. You can find these for like 10 to 12 bucks on Amazon. Like I said, links in the description box down below. Or for a couple bucks more, you can go with the king of ultralight backpacking stoves, the BRS 3000. They're 20 bucks. They are super popular. This is kind of like the go-to for most of us when it comes to ultralight, and we got the small pots and that kind of thing. This is what most of us go with. Very, very effective, very, very cheap. I've had my BRS for like 6-7 years now and still works great. Now, I fully admit one of my favorite stoves out there is alcohol stoves, and my go-to has been a DIY alcohol stove. I made this stove out of a can of cat food and a tomato paste can, a little bit of carbon felt inside. There's lots of instructions all over the internet on making your own alcohol stoves. People make them out of pop cans and a whole bunch of different things. These are very, very inexpensive. They're very, very lightweight. Like this guy comes in at just over an ounce. This cost me like $3 or $4 to make. You know, I had the carbon felt at home. I'm a journeyman plumber, so that was a benefit to me. My cat got a can of cat food, so she was happy. And the tomato paste can, use that to make some spaghetti sauce that night. So, you know, it was a win-win. As we dive deeper into this video, you may notice we haven't talked backpacks at all. And the big reason we're not talking backpacks is there are a ton of different backpack options out there, and all of them have a different volume to them. You know, whatever the liters is that backpack is going to hold. And when it comes to a backpack, that's usually the last piece of gear you get for your loadout, because, you know, you want to get all your gear together and kind of figure out how much volume that gear is going to take up. A very, very quick, easy way to figure out how much all your gear is going to take up is just go to your pantry, grab a trash bag, check how many liters that trash bag is going to hold. Just start packing your gear into there. If you've got, say, a 40-liter trash bag, your gear gets in there and you can close the top of that, you could probably go with, say, a 35 or 40-liter backpack. Just a quick, easy idea. This is how I size up all my backpacks when I go and buy a new one. You know, if I'm not sure if that volume of backpack is going to work for the loadout I'm taking in it, I just use a trash bag. It has never failed me. If you've watched my channel at all and you know anything about me and the gear loadouts I carry, it should not surprise you that the rain jacket I'm suggesting is the Frog Togs Ultralight 2 rain jacket. This is all that I have used almost exclusively for the last 7 to 8 years. They are ridiculously inexpensive. Like, you can find these on Amazon for about 20 to 25 bucks. They're very, very lightweight. They come in at under 5 ounces. And they are effective. You know, a lot of people say the Frog Togs jackets, they rip easy and, you know, they're not gonna last a long time. Well, nothing is gonna last a long time if you're beating it up. Part of going ultralight and, you know, just kind of backpacking gear in general, it's not always the most robust stuff. Knowing that, you know, your jacket may rip and snag if you're brushing up against trees, you just kind of try to avoid brushing up against trees. I've had this particular Frog Togs jacket for 3.5, 4 years now. I don't have any rips or holes in it. It's never wet out on me out on a trail. And I have been in some torrential downpours in this guy. They're a very, very simple rain jacket. They don't have any pockets. They just have a zipper up the front and a cord you can kind of cinch the hood around, and little elasticized cups for your wrist. They do tend to fit very, very loose. I wear a medium for pretty much everything, sweaters and stuff like that. And the Frog Togs jackets are like, they're huge, but it's really nice because it's no problem to slip it over top of like a puffy jacket or, you know, any other kind of insulating layer. If you're going to use this as a shell, throw one over top and just kind of seal some extra heat in. Works really well for that. One of my favorite things about the Frog Togs is that they fit big. One of the biggest decisions that a lot of people have to make when it comes to going ultralight and saving weight out of their backpack is, you know, what kind of shelter am I going to go with? And the tents that I always suggest for people is just anything from 3FUL from the Lanshan line. That has been the king of introductory into ultralight for years and years. I've owned a number of Lanshan tents over the years. I've had a Lanshan 2, a Lanshan 1 Pro, and I've had the now discontinued 1.5P Leaning Tower of Pisa, or like the Lanshan 1.5. And a bunch of my friends use Lanshan tents as well. It's very, very common to see a couple of these on every backpacking trip that we go on. And the reason we use these tents is they're lightweight, they're inexpensive, and they work extremely well. Like, my Lanshan tents have worked just as well as some of the, you know, much higher priced tents that I use. And I've had no complaints over using them. There's a reason why you see them on pretty much every backpacking page. You know, anytime someone asks, you know, what new tent should I get? I'm looking for a new trekking pole tent or whatever. It's almost always a Lanshan suggestion. Now, hopefully as you progress along your ultralight or, you know, your journey towards getting a lighter weight backpacking gear load, you found some suggestions in this video that help you guys out. If you guys are looking for some more gear suggestions or ideas on how to get less weight off your back and you'll enjoy your backpacking trips a little bit more, check out either of these videos. I'm sure you'll find some information there you guys will enjoy. And as always, I'm Maddie. Thank you guys so dang much for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. You already know. Let's go Oilers.